Hi everybody, and welcome back to Pete's Fleet and the Salty Dawg Series. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I used some basic carpentry skills to save almost $1,000 in parts for my boat, the Salty Dawg. For those of you just joining, the basic summary is I rescued this boat from the Everglades, and with a little bit of hard work I got it out of there, cleaned up, got the hull polished, and now it's time to start working on some of the other parts. Well, as most of you might have noticed, my beautiful Salty Dawg here does not have any hatchboards. Okay, it came with both of these side pieces right here, those little pieces that you can slot those hatchboards into, but it didn't come with any hatchboards. It also didn't come with this thing right across the top here, so I'm gonna have to fabricate those pieces. But for those actual hatch boards, I tried to get it teak. I went to a few suppliers around, only one place that could get it for me. They didn't have any on hand, but they said they could order it. And I'm gonna need, I want to have 3 or 4 pieces that are about this big, probably 3 or 4 boards. I'm thinking 10 or 12 inches wide because that opening is a little over 30 inches. So I said, okay, I'm gonna need a piece of teak that's 1/2 inch to 3/4 thick, and 10 or 12 inches wide. Okay, maybe 8 or 9 feet of that. A week later, they call me and tell me that it's going to be $860 for one piece of teak, and instead I'm going to go with a beautiful piece of sapelli mahogany. So it's it's another hardwood. It's still got a beautiful grain, a beautiful tight grain, not a lot of knots in it. So I'm going to get started on that and show you guys what that looks like. So here's this piece of teak. Obviously it's very white and silver, you can see, compared to, the color of the Starbright can or the wood, the fake wood veneer of the table. That's a really, really bright, light color. You can see that this wood is worn down a lot, it's rotten, but I'm just using this as a test piece. Because some of the things that I have that are teak on the boat are original and still in good condition, like these handrails, like those rails on top, like some of the interior teak. And so I want to use as much of the original wood as I can. I have to replace these because obviously they're rotten through. But I just want to see if I can bring them back. So I'm going to let this dry because I just rinsed it really well. Then I'm going to put on that teak oil and I'll show you guys what that looks like. So this is how it looks after drying. Do you see the half that I did versus the half that I didn't do? Yeah, neither do I. Alright, well, I've been doing 3 or 4 projects today, so I've got another piece of teak, new teak, that hasn't been sitting out in the sun, lined up right next to this old one that we pulled off the boat. That's the teak oil versus untouched. And then that's the teak oil side by side with a piece of teak that is unoiled. But I'm gonna give that teak oil another shot. I think I'm probably gonna finish this with teak oil once it's all finished up. So we'll get to see what that looks like. In the meantime, yeah, that's better than this. Not ideal, but certainly better than paying thousands of dollars for new teak parts. And go figure, everybody was right. You need to sand it down first. So even though this white teak was really badly sun damaged, and it didn't seem like sanding it would bring back the color at all, a pretty light sanding brought back most of the color, and some teak oil did the rest. So I'm right now fabricating new slots for that. So I went to a local marine wood supply, and they have this big scrap bin, so I paid $10 for this scrap. And then I used this router right here to route out this channel right along here, right, for the actual hatchboards to slip down into. You can see I'm a new routerer. I did practice on a piece of pine and still had a few mistakes here and there. But so I routed out that channel. I measured the width of the boards that I'm going to be using, and then I used this triangle sander here to get all down in the nooks and crannies here so that I could sand that all smooth. Make sure there were no jagged pieces and that everything's going to slide in there perfectly. I made the slot a little bit bigger than the length of the, than the width of those boards, so that it'll slide down in there nice and easy. So I'm going to cut this piece to length, flip it around on the other side. First, I'm going to have to take the other pieces of trim out so that I can get access to the hardware. Clean behind all those areas really well, sand and seal all those pieces of teak, and put it all back together and see how it looks. This is the entryway piece of teak. Obviously, it's completely shot. So I'm going to take this piece of scrap teak that I got from Sailorman at Fort Lauderdale. I'm going to use my brand new miniature table saw, my 4-inch blade table saw by Dremel, to cut this to about the same width. Then I'm going to use it for that kind of L shape to cut that opening and sand it all down. So hopefully it'll be a nice, smooth, finished product. Wish me luck. Here's this gorgeous piece of sapelli mahogany that I was telling you guys about. It's 12 inches or 10 inches wide. I got it planed to 1/2 inch thickness so that I can use it for those boards. But you can see it's just a beautiful, beautiful piece of wood. But yeah, I'm going to slap some oil on this or some other kind of finish that holds up well to the UV. I got some Thompson's water seal, so I might use Thompson's water seal on this. And then I'll cut it to size, cut the angles. I don't have the original boards, so I don't have a template to work off of. I'm just going to have to kind of measure and cut them to size and, you know, cut them a little big and then go from there. And I'll walk you guys through that whole process as we go. So, excuse the interior there. She still needs some love. So I started with a cardboard template. I measured out the height of the lumber that I'm going to be using, cut a piece of cardboard to that height, put it on here, marked the side with pencil, cut it to shape to make sure that it fits, and it seems to fit down in there quite snugly. I'd say it's damn well a perfect fit. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to put it on the piece of sapelli. I'm going to mark that with a pencil and then use a skill saw to cut that line. And hopefully it's going to be a very straight line and look perfect along the way. Wish me luck. So there's the first board in, and here's the second piece of cardboard. So let's fit this in here. Let's see. Put on that side. A little bit of a gap here, so I'm going to trim off some of here, make this angle sit back a little bit on that side. See if that works. I'm also going to flip it around because it's super possible that these rails are not even or have even angles. Uh-oh. That's way better. That is way better. I think that's my answer, people. My rails aren't even angles, so these guys are going to have a front and a back. I'm going to have to find a way to denote that. One more piece, and I think we should be all set. Alright, after a little bit of shaving and adjustment, 2 boards in, 1 to go. Okay, we're officially at 3 boards. Look at that. Wow. That last one was a lot of fun and took a lot of tweaking, but you know what? Shaved down the sides some, and we're looking really clean. I think that sapelli looks really nice. I haven't oiled it yet. I haven't sanded down the sharp edges, so I'm going to do that now here in a minute. But first, see that? It's much, much, much too tall. So I'm going to climb inside. I'm going to set that sliding roof panel all the way to the front, as far forward as it can go. Then I'm going to mark that line with a pencil. And once I mark it with a pencil, I'm going to cut that top piece to shape. Well, I've now trimmed off the excess of that top board, as you guys can see. And I'm going to try to use that excess to make that top little piece there. Okay. We're looking good. That top piece is finally squared away. I made a bunch of mistakes when I was making this piece. And so I just kept having to keep cutting and keep changing things and tweaking until I got something that looked halfway decent. And I still like the look of it a lot. It's not in the way of those rails right there, so I'll be able to use it well, and it'll be able to slide back and forth on there without catching on those rails. So next thing is to sand them all down, teak oil them up, and then we're going to be ready to get on the water. I think I'm going to wait till tomorrow to do all that. Got a beautiful, beautiful sunset here. Okay, so following day, and it's time to apply the teak oil. You'll notice I'm using this Helmsman teak oil instead of the Star Bright that I had earlier. I'm sure that the Star Bright teak oil is great, but that one that I had specifically was a teak oil sealer, so it was thicker and had kind of a peanut buttery consistency, and I didn't want anything getting in the way of the beautiful grain of the sapelli, and I was also just wanting to keep the look as natural as possible. So I figured a handful of coats of this Helmsman's Helmspar teak oil, and it's gonna look beautiful. So here we are after a few months of use in the sun, and I've definitely reapplied the oil a few times, but I had to make that custom teak plate right there to go over that step, and there's actually some metal straps behind there to keep that winch up and in good shape. So yeah, we made these rails, we made all that. I just took off the top piece again because I wanted to add a teak handle so that'd be easier to open and close, so that piece is off right now, but overall I think it came out pretty darn good.